We're live. It's business time.
Well, the thing is, there was this guy, and that guy, it's like he's on steroids, and he has the nose thing, and he has the long hair. Did you seen him before?
No. He's got a
And
nose thing too?
yeah, it's actually he's one of the guys I got the nose thing from that I used to wear. But his name is Alex Hani something. But anyway, he was talking about podcasts, and if you want to be the top 1% of podcasting, and all you need to do is make 21 episodes, and you've made it to the 1% of podcasts, because 99% of podcasts don't make it to 21 episodes.
I mean, we're at episode 30, but not even just including this show. We've had we might be in the hundreds if you include the Not Your Cousins podcast, the show. But then again, I guess they're different podcasts. Maybe each podcast has reached 1% level at different times. But that technically means we have at least 2 podcasts that have reached that the 1 percentile. Doesn't feel like it, you know. I mean, that guy, like, I mean, like, I'm honored. Like, thanks, guy, for letting me know. But there's still 1 second. There's 0 viewers, right?
Yeah,
there's 0 viewers. Yeah, there's 0 people watching
viewers
right now. Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah,
but we're developing the skill of podcasting. You know,
is it kind of like like how there's those 1%ers that are like they're like the ones who are like in the shadows. You know what I mean? Like, you got like the Jeff Bezoses, you got the Mark Zuckerbergs, you got these guys who are up front in the media, and you got those guys who are kind of lurking behind the scenes, right? And some might even say that, like, they're even like extra power lurking behind the scenes. I'm just saying that's us right now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm on board with that. Even though it doesn't make any sense, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. And like the guys with oil money that are like literally trillionaires that like we don't know about, we're just like them. We have an equal amount of power as those hidden trillionaires.
Yeah. I'm thinking the same exact thing.
Their dad is made out of oil.
I believe it. I think they probably do little injections every now and then. I'm thinking that, like, people don't know this, but some of the top, like, podcasts, like, if anyone ever watches this, think about the podcast, whatever's the number 1 right now, we're influencing them on some level, on some micro level. We hold influence. So maybe we're not the ones, who are directly feeding you the message, but let me just tell you, I know a guy, whoever that guy is who's sitting at the top right now. All right?
Yeah. I mean, some of the top podcasters, Tim Dillon.
Know him?
Theo Vaughn.
Know him. H3H3, I know him.
Yeah, I don't like that guy.
You don't? Oh, well.
No.
I know him too. No.
We have Tim Ferriss.
Yep, know that guy.
Who else is like really big in podcasting? I don't know.
That's a good question. Who's top Rogan. Of the charts? Yep, we know him too.
Mm-hmm. There's a guy named Chris Williams. He runs a podcast called Modern Wisdom. That's pretty popular.
I feed him his scripts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, you got a lot of powerful connections.
It comes with being part of the 1%,
Yeah, just even the way you're drinking that tea right there makes you seem like a 1%er, dude.
Yeah. Only ever since we crossed that 24 episode thresh line, episode 23, I was drinking like this. But then ever since we crossed, I went, hey. And a little slam down on the table too. You got to have that.
Yeah.
So I got tea on my Yeah. See, that's the move. Yeah. See, you weren't drinking like that before episode 24.
No.
Yeah.
No, I
That wasn't happening. That was a good one. I could hear the ting on that one. That was a powerful
Good.
one. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, technically, I think we're in the 0.1% because if we had two podcasts in the 1% and you multiply those together,
Absolutely. Yeah. Do we get deranked since we quit the show a little bit early? I don't know how many episodes we had, but what does that do to our ranking?
I, I I don't think it does anything to the ranking. I think all that matters is when you win. All the losses just get thrown away into the school of learning.
I like it. You
Mhm.
know, I'm even thinking that if you have two podcasts that go over that threshold, technically, that's like it erases all losses. If someone had like one bad podcast and then another one good podcast that went over, the line, they might be deranked a little bit. But we got two, so hey, that's not bad.
Yeah, and there was this guy. He used to be obese, and then he had one of those gastric bypass surgeries, and he's not obese anymore. But he was famous before he had the surgery, and he was giant. He was at least 350 pounds before. But what he says, and actually his name is called Big Boy, is he had that name before, but then he lost the weight, and now he's average sized. I think
Average
he's a little
boy,
tall.
some might
Yeah,
say.
he should have changed the name. But he always says about investing in the school of experience. And a lot of times when you're doing stuff and it's not working out, but ultimately you learn something from your failures that helps you succeed, that's the school of experience. And different people invest more in the school of experience than others to reach success.
You know, I'm thinking like a Ozempic.
What?
I'm just thinking like maybe he has an Ozempic experience.
Well, no, he got the surgery where they fold your stomach in half and they staple it together.
Damn. I see. He lost the weight, and then is that like what that's for the loose skin?
No, no.
No.
So
Oh,
what they do is they'll staple half of your stomach together so less food can actually go inside your stomach. So you're forced to eat less and you get full more quickly.
why didn't he just do like Ozempic? I think that makes you eat less too, right? Like then you don't have to get your like stomach like.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, so number one, Ozempic, Big Boy, he was obese 20 years ago. He's been skinny for a while.
I see.
Ozempic did not exist back then. And also Ozempic, and by the way, Ozempic really fucks your body up, dude.
Probably. I can
It tricks
imagine.
your body into thinking it's full when it's not.
But he has like an artificially stapled stomach. I feel like it's like tomato after a certain amount. It's like, either you're getting your stomach artificially just stapled or you artificially chemically induced. I don't know whatever that is, but
Yeah,
plus
yeah,
then you can do Ozempic memes cuz then there's like everyone's like going like, this guy lost weight, he must be on Ozempic. It's kind of bad. It is pretty bad cuz then some people really work for it and then people just laugh at him and they're like, Ozempic, but
yeah, dude. But it's
at least you
bad.
can meme. Yeah, it is bad. It's
It's
not
bad.
good.
Oh, Randy Jackson got a lap band surgery.
Hmm.
Do you remember Randy Jackson?
I think so. It sounds familiar.
He was one of the hosts. He was a judge on American Idol.
I think I know. I think a face is coming to mind. I think so.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, it's not just those two options. Like you said, you can work hard, you could eat better, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, you can. Even though someone might later down the road say, Ozempic, man. Does that you must have just done some Ozempic, and then you're like, oh, damn it. And then you can just laugh though. At least it's like, just be like, hey, I got those stomach staples too. What are you gonna do about it? 1%. That's the mindset.
Yeah, the mindset is I need it right now.
That's right.
Well, they also have liposuction.
I've heard of that too. That's where they suck out the fat, right? There's like,
Yep, suck it out.
yeah. I wonder if like before they had the technology, it had some guy like the straw.
Probably not.
Never know. You inject Ozempic into you. I mean, I think like same like instead of something going in, something's going out. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't think it's funny, the Ozempic stuff. I think it's just it's just not good.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, like they don't know what the effects are going to be later on down the road.
Yeah, and that's why we need more Lizzos out there. Honestly, we need more Lizzos. We need more big boys, free lap band, and we need more healthy fat people.
Yeah. We should. I think it would suck to live in a place where everyone was the same. I think it would really suck. Can you imagine if everyone like had the same body type and everyone was like muscular and just like do and you were like, "Oh, man. Why is everyone the same? Why is everyone like this? Can't somebody like lose some muscle, maybe gain some pounds so we're not all walking around everyone looks the same?" I'd hate that. I think that would be bad.
Yeah. It makes me think like maybe the United States wouldn't be the United States without McDonald's. Because basically, what we do is we farm humans and extract money from them, right? In the form of medical expenses, housing, and food. So, what we do is we trick people and we feed them shitty food that makes them sick, and then we make them pay a lot of money for drugs and for medical interventions. So it's really a trick because people are like they're thinking short-sightedly and they're like cheap food, McDonald's, $1.99 sandwich. That's a cheap sandwich. But what happens is they get fucked. 20 years later they have to have a fucking gastric bypass surgery, or they have to put 3 stents in their heart and their shit gets fucked up. And then there's the medical industry, and there's the pharmaceutical industry, which is trillions of dollars, dude. It's just crazy. So what I'm thinking is that even though it sucks, might be necessary for now to be the United States and be the most powerful country in the world. It might only be possible by stealing people's life autonomy.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot of industries, even think about the arms industry, right? That's a massive, hey, yeah, me too. But these arms, I'm talking about maybe a few exploding arms, if you can imagine it. Imagine that these were two metal cylindrical objects with explosives inside of them. Right?
Okay.
Imagine.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to sell them, someone's got to use them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, it would be nice. Like, I'm like, if people, you know, they could turn these into homes, and maybe some people were living inside of these little, like, metal silos. Great. That would be fantastic. But I mean, I don't think that's what they're being used for. You know, I don't think people are just, like, you know, selling them to someone, and then someone's like, I just like to have it. You know, usually somebody uses it, and then they need more, and then they're like, I need to buy more. It's so there's like a cycle of, like, you know, there's plenty of industries that profit off of people's health, people's lives.
Did you know that there are people working at the NIH that greenlit the vaccines going into production? So these are people that just work at the NIH. They don't develop vaccines. These people that got the vaccines to market at the NIH, they're getting an annual stipend of $150,000. So basically, the way that it's set up is there's these people. They're in this. You can imagine it's a castle, right? Because used to castles are like a fortress. People have to get into the castle, and the reason it's a castle is so that the NIH can protect the general population, right? So imagine it's a giant castle with the entire United States population in it, and then there's all these people trying to get medical devices approved, and they're at the castle walls, and they're fighting to get in, and they're doing negotiations. So there's guards at the castle at NIH, and when people are coming to attack, they'll let certain people in, and then they will get $150,000 per year by letting a certain individuals inside of the castle.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like there's a reason why there's a lot of like even beyond like vaccinations, there's a lot of like copyrights that are even handed out by the government to certain suppliers within the medical industry field. I mean, that happens everywhere. Like government contracts, it's never been like an even playing field. Even like a little bit filthy, and depending on the area, like even arms dealing, like during Afghanistan and Iraq, there were people where there was an open market, and they didn't even vet some of these guys too. Sometimes it was the complete opposite, where it wasn't that they were choosing like very specific, sometimes for nefarious purposes, very like powerful, you know, maybe a powerful firm that has a lot of influence in politics. They might, you know, choose just some, like you see in the movie War Dogs. There's just these two kids who start selling arms in the middle of the Middle East, and they don't even check them. And not to mention that whole trade. I mean, I think it was filthy to begin with. I mean, doesn't matter who's doing it, but I think there's a lot of times where government contracts they can be passed out for nefarious purposes, or they can be unfairly, you know, given out to top producers.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'm saying is that NIH is the regulatory agency. So the people who are supposed to be defending the public have a monetary incentive to get certain things on the market, because they will get $150,000 per year. For the majority of people, that means they never have to work another day in their life. So the person that are people that are supposed to stop bad things from entering the market, they can be set for life if they get certain drugs on the market.
Yeah, it's how like it is messed up. A lot of it has to do with even there's a lot of interest groups that try and create an uneven playing field, so that when, you know, the government contract for a certain vaccination, medication, even with like infrastructure projects too, sometimes the highest bidder isn't necessarily the best option. And sometimes, again, it's just because that that group basically lobbied their interests within a certain government body and was able to get approved for things that maybe somebody else wouldn't get approved for. You know, so it's definitely not a fair playing field.
Well, I'll tell you this: there's more. It's more likely that they're going to be fair skinned at these agencies.
Yeah, I mean, I would say though it's like I think it's like a systemic problem where it's occurring in like multiple different government agencies, but definitely a problem nonetheless.
That's why I named this episode hashtag debates, though.
Oh, well, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think that's bad. That's definitely not a good thing.
No, not debates and you and me, but the debate and how these old ass peoples didn't aren't discussing those kind of things. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things like I'm always upset to see that certain even past issues that we were previously concerned about sometimes just get washed out due to the circumstances of the election. I mean, they're not even discussing it. I mean, this wasn't ever really a heavy consideration, but they're not discussing healthcare. Didn't hear that at all during the past debate. Um, they didn't discuss even like I think the way that the debates work are just so terrible. Expecting someone to respond in 2 minutes to like such a complex question. I feel like it's designed to like feed somebody information in the shortest amount of time possible without going into detail and explaining in depth what somebody actually wants to do. Like somebody should have like a solid 10 minutes to like explain through a policy proposal, not like 2 minutes to just throw a bunch of simplified taglines at the American public.
Yeah, but
Makes
I
it like a
think
sales pitch.
I'm not sure that the presidential candidates and campaigns want to fully explain what they want to do. I'm not sure that they do.
I think
I
it's
do
slightly
agree that
purposeful, definitely.
I
It's
don't think
not.
it's useful. Did you catch wind of what they're calling the real debate?
No, the real debate. What is that? What does that imply?
Okay, so if an independent candidate is polling above 15% and has other rules that are kind of arbitrarily set by the media organization, the independent candidate is supposed to participate in the presidential debate. So RFK Jr. is polling above 15%, but he didn't meet the number of um, potential electoral college votes yet. So what he did was he played the CNN debate, and then for each question he paused after each presidential candidate talked, and then he interjected his answer as if he were on the debate stage. And so it was like a longer version of like the debate with the proctoring from this, all of CNN stuff, and then he just had his answers also included.
That's interesting. I know that it wasn't actually a real like they didn't actually register the debate through the debate committee because I guess it's supposed to happen later in the year. And so this was like theoretically a private event. But it was kind of weird that they just had again both candidates really do suck. I mean, they both really I think that was the worst debate I've ever seen in my life. Like really just I can't think of like and again, it's not like I'm like very old or anything, but I don't think I've ever seen a debate even like on the state level, not even just like the federal level, but like governors races. I don't think I've ever seen something that's been that bad. That
Well,
was
okay,
so
but
terrible.
what about the Trump versus Hillary Clinton ones? Those were insane.
Those
when
were
when
insane.
when they didn't shut the mics off, they shut the mics off for this one. But damn, dude.
Yeah, at least there was like some amount of like, not that there was a lot of substance, but at least there was like clear sentences happening and there was some amount of like clarity. Like this one was just so bad. It felt like there wasn't even a communication line going on. I mean, the fact that it felt like elderly abuse.
Yeah,
It's
honestly,
like, man, that's
I'm surprised. I didn't watch the last like 45 minutes, but I'm surprised Trump didn't go after Joe Biden more about how he is losing it, dude. I feel like I kind of was looking for that a little bit more, if I'm being honest.
see. I think they told him to because he's trying. I think he sees it as a moment, and I think his campaign staffers definitely didn't want him to go too hard because it looks unprofessional and it does look bad. He did towards the end start getting a little bit more aggressive. And again, I'm no fan of Donald Trump, by the way. I think it's just an entertaining, like, honestly, I just laugh now. I think it's an absolute clown show all the way around, and I just view it as entertainment. I think it's a joke. It's sad. I don't take any pleasure in it being a joke other than the humor that comes from it. But I think they were trying, like, if you look at the news coverage surrounding the debates, basically the Democratic side was like, don't seem like too much of an old man. Try to seem somewhat clarify your arguments and don't do the thing where you look down and you go, please try to stay awake. And then Trump's side was basically,
it took 20 minutes. He started off kind of okay, and I'm seeing all these headlines that is like he totally fucked up, and I don't know what happened in the last 45 minutes. But I think it went better than I thought it was going to go for Joe Biden.
Really? I was so much worse. I thought
it was better than I thought it was going to be.
And I don't see, I thought it was crazy because looking at his rally that he did afterwards, it's really weird, like, because I think he can read off of cue cards somewhat well. He still like stutters, he still like pauses. But I think when he doesn't have, like, the cue cards in front of him, he just completely loses all sense of cognitive ability.
There was a pretty bad one where he was talking about sisters raping. Did you catch that one?
Yeah. Some of these points, too, I couldn't believe it because, to me, those are layups. I couldn't believe, like, it felt like they served him, like, especially the strongest issue, abortion. They just served it to him. And he could have gone and tried to actually, like, break down his points. And that's his strongest issue by far. And he just flubbed it. He couldn't even finish. He was first going into, like, what he thought about, like, oh, here's how it's going to work between the state and the individual and the doctors and the individuals. And then he just drops the ball. And he just goes into this random thing about, like, immigrants coming in and raping people. And it's like, that's not even your tagline. Like, you're even, like... That's like a Republican talking point. Where are you going? It's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I just had really low expectations.
I didn't think it was going to be that bad, though. I couldn't believe, like, how bad it was because I think I was thinking about the first debates, but it's obvious that I think his mental capacity must have declined over the past 4 years because the first debate, sure, he was a little bit, like, not present, but he could get through the debate and there could be like some kind of flow happening. This was just so bad. It was so bad. It was so much worse. Like I thought, like, sure, maybe there's a little bit of a mental decline. There's already like signs of him having issues, but to have it go so fast to the wayside, it was just insane.
Dude, I'd be curious to see what you would think of the real debate. It was live streamed on X, and then it was also live streamed on the RFK website, teamkennedy.com. And that night, 10 million people watched that, his own stream of the debates.
I'd definitely give it a watch. I will be honest here. Throughout, like, what I've seen previously, and given I haven't seen everything, I've been a little bit suspicious of RFK. I'm not gonna say I'm a super fan, but I would give it a watch. I would never not turn somebody away just because of bad first impressions.
Yeah, and it's just it's deplorable what we saw last night, or whenever the debate was on Thursday, and you gotta give him a chance now that in some of the polls he's polling as high as 17% now. Um, Especially some of these Democrats who just saw, maybe they're like, because on the headlines maybe more people are thinking that it was horrible. I just thought, you know what, we're used to it by now, but um
Not that bad though. I mean,
yeah,
it
dude,
was
that's
like
what I'm saying.
it was
That's what
looking
I'm saying.
bad.
I think RFK is gonna get above 20% in the polls, especially if there's gonna be another debate. Um,
Yeah,
and
I
think
don't know what they're
there's
gonna
one in
do.
August. I think so. So yeah. So even if you don't like him, then it's like, at least he's talking about the debt. He really cares about the debt, and dude, he wants to get the poison out of the food and the water, and those are like two issues that I care about, like, more than just about anything.
If he means like more like regulatory like strength on food, like with the FDA and things like that, I'm all in for ensuring. I mean, we have some of the lowest food standards, not like lowest in the world, but amongst like developed nations. Like other countries won't accept our food. Like so, I'm not, like Canada and Europe have different products. And like chicken, they won't allow our chicken into their country. And then you have to ask why. Why don't they want our chicken? Because we soak it in bleach, some of our chicken products. It's pretty ridiculous. So no, I'm all in support for things like that. I there's some things that I were a little bit iffy on, but again, I would always give someone a chance and give it a watch before I'd say anything completely against the person. Even if I think it's impossible to agree with somebody on everything too. I mean, it's definitely like unfortunate we kind of have a lesser of the evils kind of a system here. I wish we had like ranked voting or something where you could have more proportional opinions show up in the races, but I don't know how much things are gonna ever change in the future. I don't even think like I don't think Biden's gonna drop out at all. There's no like precedent for it. I think we're gonna be, the Democrats are stuck with him, even if the party wants him to. Like there's a little bit of a divide. If the money doesn't pull out, he'll stay in, and it seems like that guy's pretty stubborn. Seems like he doesn't wanna he doesn't wanna budge. I don't know how like. I just don't know how somebody could watch that. I mean, he was firsthand on the stage. He saw it firsthand what happened. He knew he wasn't doing well. He was struggling. And he kind of lightly admits it now. But when like half of the party comes and says, you gotta get out of here. You gotta step down. We gotta get someone else on there. And then he looks back and says, oh no, it could be worse. I don't know, like, either someone is so not cognitively there, they can't recognize how bad they did, like how bad it truly was, or someone is just so overconfident to the point where it's like, I'll sink the ship. I don't care. I'm staying in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I mean, it's just historically the way things have been done is kind of crumbling because he's so old, and maybe he doesn't think there's any other options. So there's nothing to consider. You just got to keep trucking, you know?
Yeah, that I just can't imagine like to have such overconfidence. I can't imagine being like, if that happened to me, like even if like it just happened to somebody who really has problems with public speaking or something, right? I don't know, theoretically, there's someone who just like really blotches it to a point where it's that bad, right? And I'm not talking about like, there was a tweet from Obama that said like, my first debate was really bad too. And it's like, but he just started. That was like his first debate ever in the first presidential run. And then later he got better. But if you have done it, you've gone through one presidential cycle and then you realize you just can't do it anymore and you see how bad it was. I can't imagine being so overconfident where I'm like, yeah, I got to keep going. I feel like I'd be like, I got to get out of here.
But he has this obligation to the Democratic Party, dude. He's been doing this shit for like 60 years, you know? Like he's got to try. He's got to try. Like he's so embedded in the system that he has to try.
I feel like, man, it just like there's been calls to like for him to save his legacy, quote unquote. And I'm not even the biggest fan of like Joe Biden. I think he's done some good things in his term. He's done some things that I don't like too. But even just from the perspective of like somebody who's done this for so long and should be retired now, I don't know, maybe there's some like idea that you have to have 2 terms in the modern context. People just think that's normal. But when like half of your party is like goes into a panic, I don't know, just to have the gall. That's what gets me, is like just to have that much of like a never surrender type of mentality, even when it's like, when so many other things are on the line, right? You're dragging down a whole entire other group of people with you who are at that point like, cut the rope, please cut the rope. And you're like, nope, sorry. We're sinking together.
The people that want to cut the rope, they're not giving him another option, are they?
I mean, I feel like the option is like, I mean, you're pretty much set for life. You're good. You've got 1 term under the bag. You know, I'm sure some people will remember you fine if you just
let Trump win then?
No, because they at that point there's still time left for them to come up with another pundit. That the idea is that what some of the party wants is for him to step down so that they can put in a new person to run as the lead candidate.
Oh, like Gavin Newsom or some shit like that?
Yeah, I hope they wouldn't choose him. I think he has a lot of really bad like a lot of bad sentiments about him. Not necessarily that I think all of them are true. I think he's done a terrible job on housing. Like, housing prices are out of control in California. I mean, that's a problem in every state too, but he definitely gets, I think, a lot of shit that's not deserved, but there's some shit that's definitely deserved. And I think overall, people are just going to say, oh, don't turn the U.S. into California. It's going to become don't increase my housing prices. And I think it probably wouldn't be the best look. I'd hope they'd go with somebody else, but it is probably likely they might try to go with him.
So you don't like is it the conspiracy shit? Is that, I remember that's what you said last time.
Wait, with who?
Yeah, with RFK Jr.
Yeah, some of the things that he says are a little bit on edge to me. I feel like are a little bit fall into the conspiratorial realm.
Yeah.
And some of the implications.
I think I'd be a conspiracy theorist if my uncle and my dad were assassinated.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is that there's some conspiracy theories that I will say are more likely to me. I can't say that they're 100% because again, it's a theory for a reason. I would never say that they're certain, but I will say this: the JFK assassination was pretty suspect. Not to mention the fact that there's some evidence of the FBI and CIA. I mean, the FBI tried to kill Martin Luther King. They tried to get him to kill himself. They basically wrote him a letter because they were spying on him, and they found out that he slept with a prostitute. So they sent to his house a letter saying, "We caught you." And they wrote it as if they were a black man, basically, to try to make him feel extra guilty. And they said, I know what you've done. I've seen the tapes. They sent the tapes with it, and they said, you have like 1 day, and they basically wanted him to kill himself. Now, he didn't kill himself, but he was assassinated later, and that's very strange. I wonder how that happened. Now, again, I can't say anything for certain other than they tried to get him to kill himself, because there's documented proof of that. But it is suspicious. Like, that's all I can say. It's very strange. It's very strange.
Indeed, indeed.
They also let the assassination on Malcolm X happen. They knew someone was coming to assassinate him, and he was a part of his Islamic group for a lot of his life, and then he separated ties with them, and it pissed him off. And they basically sent a guy to one of his speaking conventions to kill him, and the FBI at the time knew that someone was coming to kill him, and rather than stop the assassination plot, they just said, "Oh, nothing we can do," and they killed him. And again, it is like we only know as much as we know, but it always is kind of suspicious. I can only say that there's some theories that seem likely, but are still theories at the end of the day. But yeah, I'll say some things are suspect sometimes.
Yeah, cause so I don't know the JFK assassination. Was that during his first term?
Yeah, I don't think he never got a second term. It was the first
well,
term.
he was about these are race related issues like the conspiracies you were talking about. JFK had worked on the space program, and there was going to be I told you about this. There was going to be a black guy in space in the 60s.
Yeah, I think I remember on one of the episodes you mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that's why they killed him, but he did get killed, and that space program got destroyed. When was it Lyndon, which was his vice president?
Yeah, I think it was because he took over the war in Vietnam as well. Lyndon B. Johnson. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, that's my thought on conspiracies. That's why I know he thinks out. RFK Jr. thinks outside of the box. You know, his dad was killed as he was on the campaign trail to. His dad was running for president, and his dad was killed as he was on the campaign trail and gaining traction.
Yeah.
And there's even like a conspiracy around his own dad's death, where like, based on the facts, the guy they said that did it probably couldn't have done it, and like just based on the way the gunshots were and who got hit with strays, like he thinks that they had the wrong guy, and he doesn't trust the FBI or the CIA, and like that for somebody who doesn't know him, I think that can be like a little bit scary, I guess. Like, you know, the FBI and the CIA, they do what they do, and I'm sure sometimes that does actually protect national security. And I think sometimes they're doing some nefarious shit, you know. There's like some bad eggs and things like that. So like, I'm not
Even
trying
historically too. I mean, they've taken out world leaders before the CIA. It's even documented. They've taken out other states' leaders. They've started coups in other countries. They've they're by no means got a clean record, even just from document sake. Again, not everything can be like certainly proven, but in the instances where they are proven, it's like, oh, well, they definitely can't say they haven't interfered or, you know, killed people abroad. So
yeah, so I mean, it's a ballsy move to be running for president when two family members were killed, um, potentially by intelligence agencies. Um, and yeah, I just think I think it's an educated risk to like support um, an independent candidate, and yeah, dude, the water, gotta have clean water. I mean, how is that not what we're talking about? And then the debt, like, I don't know what data he's pulling from, but he's saying that the debt is just insane, and the last two presidents, Biden and Trump, have ran up the debt more than any president combined. So from George Washington to George Bush, all the debt that those people racked up was less than just these two presidents in the last 8 years. And what's going to be happening is in 5 years, half of the tax money that we're going to be collecting is going to be going to servicing the debt. And then within 10 years, it's going to be almost 100% of the tax money we collect going towards the debt.
I don't know about those statistics. Especially the more than all the presidents previously from George Bush backwards. I don't know about that. What I will say is that the debt is it depends, because there's such thing as a healthy amount of debt. There's also different theories as to how we could actually fix the debt. There's also concerns that I have. I think a lot of politicians use the debt as like a tagline for immense doom, when there really isn't as much doom revolving the debt as people think. Not to mention that debt is normal in most countries. Even if we have a lot of debt, there's also some economists who warn about cutting spending might not be the best way to handle debt, because that'll hurt our GDP, and if our GDP falls below a certain amount of national debt, that also spells a financial crisis for the country as a whole. So it's kind of a balancing act, because government spending makes up a lot of GDP, and the fear is that if we cut that, then we might experience a massive collapse. And then if we increase taxes, that's also a contractionary monetary policy, or not monetary, but fiscal policy. And then again, it can sway in a direction that can be really dangerous. So whenever politicians mention the national debt, I think it's a really particular situation. Not to mention a lot of the debt is owned by the Federal Reserve, because they buy a lot of it through bonds. And there's even a theory, and I don't know if I buy this necessarily, this theory, but there's some economists who have said that the Fed could theoretically cancel our national debt. Theoretically, people don't like it because, again, it implies kind of like monopoly money, a monopoly money kind of thing, where you just, we just erase the debt because our currency is like the basically the backing currency for the whole entire global monetary system. But I don't know. I don't know if that could work. But I think that the national debt isn't extremely easy to solve, and I don't think it's going to like cause a immediate eruption like some people have said in the past.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know too much about that. Da, 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 da. I'm trying to look this up and see national debt growth by president. It's just showing it's just saying percent growth. I'm seeing Ronald Reagan with the highest numbers right now on this chart that I'm looking at.
That would check out. He was a big spender. He also cut a lot of spending, which funny enough, people think that it decreases the amount of spending, but sometimes it also cuts into GDP, and it can have a lot of mixed results for the economy. And taxes, probably one of the most contributing things. He probably didn't balance the budget, which is, again, I think just a dumb concept anyways, even though that was like Ronald Reagan's like advertisement, balance the budget. I don't even know how to do a Ronald Reagan accent. He kind of has like a weird raspy voice too, but
yeah, no, I'm curious to see what you'll think about the real debate, and you probably won't have to watch the whole thing because you just skip to the parts where he's talking.
Yeah, I did already see the shit show that was the original debate. I saw the whole thing of that, so I probably will skip through the parts.
10 million people watched it on what is formerly known as Twitter.
Those are pretty good numbers. Those aren't bad.
Yep. and they might sue, CNN might sue Elon Musk for putting it on his platform because it just streamed the CNN broadcast. So like there might be some legal implications.
That's really weird though, because they like political commentators were streaming that, I think, on YouTube and Twitch. Yeah, I don't know. That is very strange.
Yeah, but I think they don't. Both parties don't want this dude to be talked about.
Yeah, I could see like there is a threat too from both parties, because he polls not only just from Democrats but also from Republicans. In that sense, it's almost even like a bit more fair, at least, because it's not gonna cripple one party or the other. There's a little bit of a pull from both of them.
But I mean, it might be more of a pull from Democrats now after what happened on Thursday.
Definitely, yeah. It's very likely. There's also a chance that some people don't go out and vote too. I mean, already how he won last time was getting a lot of people who just were not interested in the 2016 elections. Some people just didn't go out and vote. They didn't care. They didn't like anybody. And then the whole idea before was that Trump is so bad, and getting those people out to the polls. So I don't know. It's looking like a disaster. Especially if the vote is fragmented enough. I think there's definitely a real likelihood that Trump's gonna take it. Depending on what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Biden's gonna stay in the race, and I think he's gonna go. I think he's going till the end. which could be in like a month. Honest, I mean, who knows?
You mean he could die soon?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like who knows how
crazy.
long though. Yeah.
So there's this poll. Did I talk to you about this? They polled a three-way race and then a one-way race. Biden, Trump, RFK, Biden, RFK, Trump. Did I talk to you about that?
I don't think so. No.
It was like a large poll. It was like 26,000 people, which apparently usually it's no more than 20,000. So it was a big sample of people. And then there was RFK just destroying Biden in a head-to-head presidential election. Like he got like almost 400 electoral college votes. And then RFK versus Trump. RFK won by like I think like 7 electoral college votes, and then Trump versus Biden, like Trump won by a sizable margin. And so the initial call, like to the people, which never was gonna happen, was like, you know, let's make this a 2-person race, you know, and pick the 2 best candidates to actually vote for. And what I was surprised by is that, like, you know, there's certain polling criteria you can make to make it more likely that somebody's going to win. But for a head-to-head matchup against either candidate and winning is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, what was the, like, did they have data on what the proportion was to Democrats and Republicans or independents within the poll? Because I would be curious to see.
Let me send it to you or pull it up. Because I don't know anything about this stuff, dude.
It's difficult to with polls, definitely. I always I always am wondering what the percentages are from each side, Democrats, Republicans, and then independents. Even that's hard to do though too, because again, you have like there's so many different sectors within like the Democratic Party and even the Republican Party as far as like ideological leanings go. So it's hard to say who gets targeted by what candidate.
So what were you looking for?
I was looking for like what do they have a percentage of like what percentage of the those polled were Republicans, Democrats, or independents?
Hmm. Oh, surveyed 26,000 likely voters. Let me see.
I don't think the hashtags helped. There's no, there's still nobody.
Yeah. Yep. You know what? I can't find that information.
They might have just gone with undecided. Uh, but still, it's always hard to tell what whether an undecided leans, how they lean.
Yep.
Still though, I'll check out that I'll check out the real debate. I'll see how he did because I wish they had even more options. Really, like I wish that they at least I wish that they had another primary, like a Democratic primary too, like had an actual formal debate, you know, just so we could get an actual like at least a range of people back on the debate stage and hear everybody out. But
Yeah,
what can you
I
do?
think it's so funny that they had the Republican um, primary stuff, and that Trump didn't even show up, and then like that whole thing was just a fucking waste of time.
Yeah, it really was. I think like it was partially like strategy too. Like what he there's no incentive for him to go out there. He's already basically got the ticket in his pocket. He's not going to want to risk screwing that up or looking bad on the stage. You know, he'll just say no, and it worked for him. He didn't even have to he didn't even have to do one.
Yeah, and those other people were just up there just talking about just getting free publicity, but they knew they probably weren't going to make it.
Yeah, some of them got a little bit of funding though. Like Nikki Haley got the what's the Koch brothers money, and that's a massive one. That's a massive score. So in terms of her future prospects, if she keeps those connections with the Koch brothers, um, she might have a future in the political arena. Especially because that's such a large one to land once Trump's
Like
out of the way.
Coca-Cola?
No, this
Coca-Cola?
is the Koch brothers. I think they were involved in a lot of different industries. They're like an old money kind of family, but they've gotten involved in a lot of political fundraising. They're a pretty large conservative group. They run a lot of think tanks too. Um, but yeah, that's a
Fake.
big one.
Sounds fake.
It's Koch with a K. I think you could search it up. It's Koch. I think Koch brothers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. The two guys now, like, of course their children run it, but the two guys are super old. I mean, they're ancient now. I think they're both still alive, but
Interesting.
unfortunately, you gotta have big money to be able to make it. I mean, Bernie Sanders got pretty far, but usually the rule of thumb is gotta take somebody's money, either fundraise it or I guess you can fundraise it from people too, but.
Yeah, I think the Kennedy campaign's been getting about 4 million a month from donations from like just regular people's.
That's the best to rely on. At least in my opinion. I doubt that's like a controversial statement. I bet there's like, I would be hard pressed to find somebody. I bet you was like, no, take more corporate money, or no, find more groups that are like big PACs. Like I don't think anyone, I can't imagine anyone's like that. But
Yeah, and not to mention that his vice presidential candidate has at least a few $100 million, which is probably pretty nice.
yeah,
Just a few hundred. Yeah, and her biggest pull or push, I'd say, is to improve the health of the youth in this country.
was she like wasn't she involved in Kellogg's?
Kellogg's, like the cereal.
Yeah, or something. Like she was, or maybe no, maybe that wasn't his vice president. I saw something where he was talking to some lady. It was like the ex Kellogg's CEO or something.
RFK Kellogg's. Why are people? I don't know what this is, but March March 4th, 2024. Many families are boycotting Kellogg's after they promote cereal for dinner in a response to inflation.
Can you imagine? That's imagine someone promoting cereal for dinner. That's not even good cereal, too. That's like you're eating like cornflakes. Like you're just having corn for dinner. Imagine that's like the modern equivalent of saying like let him eat corn rather than let him eat cake.
Oh man, that is insane.
Corn. God.
Many families. Her name is Nicole Shanahan. Kellogg's. I'm gonna search. I don't see anything about that.
Maybe it wasn't the vice president. He was like in a garden with a bunch of ladybugs, and I think it was like some like short clip, and he was with some lady who said that she did something at Kellogg's, but
Oh no, she used to work at Kellogg's. Yeah, I know.
Oh.
That clip.
Okay. Wait, is that the vice president? Is that his?
No, that's not the vice president.
Okay, that's not the vice president.
Let me see. Here, I'm gonna share my screen.
All right. Let me switch it over. There we go.
This is Kathy Johnson from the Kellogg family, but now she runs a company called Organic Control. Organic Control, and I'm covered with ladybugs. They're going to eat all the aphids in my garden. And you can use these instead of pesticides. They're a lot more effective. You see, here's my peaches. And there's a little damage from the aphids and the leaf. She also has beneficial nematodes, which restores your soil. And this is what we all should be doing.
Instead of pesticides, add life. Always add life to your soil. To your soil, above the soil, below the soil. Add life. Don't consistently kill things.
Kellogg's family. Oh, I switched it back over too, by the way. Should I switch it back to the share screen? Oh, never mind. Okay, there we go.
No, it's all good.
Wait, was she? I wonder when she worked for Kellogg's. I wonder if.
No. So she's from the Kellogg's family.
Oh, she's from the Kellogg's
First-
family.
Yeah. Last name Kellogg.
Thinking back to the eat cereal for dinner. That's actually, that sounds like a really funny like video idea. I almost want to like just I want to have that like article come up, and then I want to like try. I want to try maybe a video eating cereal for dinner, like the Kellogg's demand it.
Okay, go back to share screen.
Okay. How long could you survive off of Kellogg's?
Wix gives you the power of AI to build the website you need.
The cereal category has always been quite affordable, and it tends to be a great destination when consumers are under pressure. So some of the things that we're doing is first messaging. We got to reach the consumer where they are. So we're advertising about cereal for dinner. If you think about the cost of cereal for a family versus what they might otherwise do, that's going to be much more affordable. The other places that we like to go is we talk about making sure we have
Can you imagine?
the right price in the right place.
Frosted Flakes, they have that up there.
Price point that'll take some pressure off the consumer while they're shopping. So those are some of the things that we're doing, but in general, the cereal.
Crazy. What a madman. I love that it brings up the cereal brands. Just so you have a selection for what you want to choose for dinner. You can have the Rice Krispie treats. Oh, God.
That's insane, dude. You know how we're making all these Music 2 songs?
Yeah.
Dude, this is a great clip for Music 2, so I'm just gonna record this from the beginning.
The cereal category has always been quite affordable, and it tends to be a great destination when consumers are under pressures. The cereal category has always been quite affordable, and it tends to be a great destination when consumers are under pressure. So some of the things that we're doing is first messaging. We got to reach the consumer where they are. So we're advertising about cereal for dinner. If you think about the cost of cereal for a family versus what they might otherwise do, that's going to be much more affordable. The other places that we like to go is we talk about making sure we have the right pack at the right price in the right place. So having a different size pack that'll have a different price point, that'll take some pressure off the consumer while they're shopping. So those are some of the things that we're doing, but in general, the cereal
Switch it
category
back.
is a place that a lot of folks might come to because the price of a bowl of cereal with milk and with fruit is less than $1. So you can imagine why a consumer under pressure might find that to be a good place to go.
Right. I'm all for innovation and marketing, but the idea of having cereal for dinner.
This guy can't believe it. He's literally just like, oh. Are you sure there's not another way? But the idea of having cereal for dinner.
You can imagine why a consumer under pressure might find that to be a good place to go.
Right. I'm all for innovation and marketing, but the idea of having cereal for dinner, is there the potential for that to land the wrong way?
We don't think so. In fact, it's landing really well right now, Carl. When we look at all of our data, of course we would know that breakfast cereal is the #1 choice for in-home consumption. We understand that for breakfast. It turns out that over 25% of our consumption is outside the breakfast occasion. A lot of it's at dinner, and that occasion continues to grow, as well as the snacking occasion. But cereal for dinner is something that is probably more on trend now, and we would expect to continue as that consumer is under pressure.
I love that he just
Snacking time.
Yeah, he just straight up. But the idea for cereal for dinner, and he just is not having it. He's just like, no. If things get bad enough, trust me, people will start eating cereal for dinner. We just need prices to go a little bit higher, And people will start having brand cereal. Oh.
Flakes, well, Frost Flakes. Kellogg's CEO says Ford families should consider cereal for dinner, despite the fact that this company has raised their prices 28% for no reason. Literally, the small box is $6-7. So you've probably seen this floating around already, but I think they're about to.
That's crazy, dude.
That is insane. Oh, man. That would be a great, though, like, I want to take up the challenge almost, and I wonder if I could make a documentary of me doing as the Kellogg's suggest, eating cereal for dinner for a week and seeing what the effects are as my body slowly starts to deteriorate and see.
Like a Super Size Me, but for Kellogg's dinner.
Yeah. Because I know I'm not going to be feeling good. I know I'm not going to be feeling good eating cereal for dinner. That's not going to be good.
He's the CEO of Kellogg's, and he's trying to capitalize on the market. So he goes onto a news channel, and he's like, they have the graph too about the food prices.
Yeah, to try and like pinpoint. I wonder if he had a meeting in his office where like they said like, we'll see on the chart about at this price of average goods, people will start eating more cereal for dinner, and we can expect 5% returns in the cereal for dinner population as the price rises by 10%.
Yeah, well, that's another funny skit that can be like in the war room before that. Talking about one of the people like in the room could break down and be like, I've been eating Frosted Flakes for months. 3 of my teeth have fallen out. And the CEO is like, no, we need to go for the profit.
Yeah. He has everyone at the company has to eat cereal for dinner just to try to cut down on pricing. If we all pull together and just eat cereal for dinner, it's gonna be fine.
It's an evening meeting, and like he's like, "Oh, I got the dinner catered for us tonight."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, to cut cost, everybody only gets 2 ounces of milk, and they pour it in there. It's not enough milk."
Yeah. I bet you he doesn't eat cereal for dinner. There's no way. Unless he's some kind of deranged lunatic and he just sits down every day.
I just want to watch that one more time.
Yeah, I'll send it over to the share screen. I love the news anchor's response too.
Me too.
It's just too good.
The cereal category has always been quite affordable, and it tends to be a great destination when consumers are under pressure. So some of the things that we're doing is first messaging. We got to reach the consumer where they are. So we're advertising about cereal for dinner. If you think about the cost of cereal for a family versus what they might otherwise do, that's going to be much more affordable. The other places that we like to go is we talk about making sure we have the right pack at the right price in the right place. So
this is my favorite part.
Pressure. So some of the things that we're doing is first messaging. We got to reach the consumer.
Yeah, the chart goes up.
Cereal for dinner. If you think about the cost of cereal for a family versus what they otherwise do, that's going to be much more affordable. The other places that we like to go is we talk about making sure we have the right pack at the right.
The right pack at the right time. What does that even
So
mean?
you can imagine why.
What's that?
He said the right pack at the right time. What does that even mean? The right pack at the right time, like depending on what flavor you're in the mood for.
No, I think like different sizes, because if someone's really in a pinch, they have to buy a smaller box.
Oh, oh, that's Terrible. Cutting down, like, not only having cereal for dinner, but cutting back on the amount that you eat for dinner. Like, sorry guys, we're gonna have to start having half bowls of cereal for dinner now. Can't have the full bowl.
Cereal with milk and with fruit is less than $1. So you can imagine why a consumer under pressure might find that to be a good place to go.
Right. I'm all for innovation and marketing, but the idea of having cereal for dinner, is there the potential for that to land the wrong way?
He nods. He nods.
So in fact, it's landed.
Yeah.
The face that he makes.
Yeah. He nods.
And marketing, but the idea of having cereal for dinner, is there the potential for that to land the wrong way?
Yes.
We don't think so. In fact, it's landing really well right now, Carl. When we look at all of our data, of course we would know that breakfast cereal is the #1 choice for in-home consumption. We understand that for breakfast. It turns out that over 25% of our consumption is outside the breakfast occasion. A lot of it's at dinner, and that occasion continues to grow, as well as the snacking occasion. But
As well as the snacking occasion.
The snacking. That's crazy.
Back in the early 1900s,
Oh,
if you
God.
were an affluent American who suffered from poor health, you may have considered a short stay at Battle Creek Sanitarium. The SAN, as it was, white cockatoo perched on his shoulder, dictating.
Guy looks like the Colonel.
Scurrying behind him. That man would be Dr. John Harvey Kellogg,
Damn
the
it.
founder of Battle Creek Sanitarium, and the poor fellow behind him, his younger brother, William Kellogg.
Oh yeah.
John Kellogg was a
Wait.
celebrated
Didn't these guys, the original like founder of the cornflake, and I think it was a Kellogg, he didn't want people jacking it. He was trying to reduce people from touching themselves, and he thought that cornflakes reduced people's potential, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think we're not gonna watch this whole video, but I think we're gonna get some of that info here.
Guru, a highly eccentric individual who made it his life's mission to improve America's mind, body, and soul. He arguably created the whole concept of wellness. You know, the industry all the crazies hang out in. And thanks to his unwavering passion for good health, we now have the delicious, easy-to-prepare breakfast cereal known as Kellogg's Cornflakes. Now, I'm sure you've heard John Harvey Kellogg's name crop up plenty of times before, and you may have even heard that...
The guy kind of looks like a lunatic. He looks like somebody who's got some bad thoughts running up there.
Yeah.
Seventh-day Adventists. So they didn't really see the point when the second coming of Christ was just around the corner. Presumably, Jesus didn't care too much about good grades when rewarding the faithful. But despite this setback, John was bright, determined, and an avid reader. And so he used any books he could get his hands on to educate. He instructed guests to avoid meat, alcohol, tobacco, sugar, and caffeine. Basically all the fun stuff. Most of these treatments seem to make sense. Caffeine, nicotine...
What? What was that?
What was what?
There was. Did you see that? There was like something like going. There was this line going up someone's butt. I don't know if I was just seeing things, but there's something going on there.
Okay, let me.
FDA cleared to remove the hair around your bottle.
That's insane.
Dude, you were just talking about.
That is weird.
Yep, here it is.
Guests could continue from depression to diabetes. Funny how all these revolutionary health fads just cure anything. After their light bath, guests could continue their cleanse with an enema. For those of you fortunate few who are unfamiliar with the exhilarating world of enemas, it involves shoving a tube up your arse, then pumping salt water into your bowels, in an attempt to give your insides a thorough cleaning out. Why the hell would anyone want to do that, I hear you ask? Well, some people believe enemas can cure constipation, certain celebs per minute.
I think this guy was just a little bit of a creep. It sounds like this guy was like, yeah, and then we put it up your butt. And then it's like, what? It's good for you.
He created special machines that could pump an eye-watering 14 litres of water per minute into the patient's bowels.
What?
This guy's crazy. He's-
You know, like those water bottles you get at the store, like the medium-sized ones? That's
Yeah.
like a liter.
Yeah.
Putting 14 of those in 1 minute.
That's insane.
So we probably should have living off way to instantly lose weight. But celebrities also believe that living off cucumber juice constitutes a healthy, balanced diet. So we probably shouldn't listen to anything they say, ever. But John, being the innovative thinker that he was, decided to take things one step further. He created special machines that could pump an eye-watering 14 litres of water per minute into the patient's bowels. Then he advanced on to giving his patients, especially the most bunged up, yogurt enemas. I'm not joking. They were instructed to eat
No.
a pint of yogurt. And then the other half? Yep, you guessed it. Right up the bumhole.
Okay, this guy's a creep. This guy's a weirdo. This guy, I bet you he was like, can you imagine? Like, he's like, okay, we ease him into it. Wait, it's a normal enema. It's a normal enema. How about we put some yogurt up there? Like, I bet you he was probably standing next to him like, oh, we gotta get some yogurt. I'm a doctor, by the way. Can you imagine?
We gotta get some yogurt.
Probably thinking like,
Dude, I think this next part's gonna be pretty crazy.
Yeah, he invented. Unlike today's chairs, which tend to offer a range of massage programs, plush padding, and 3D surround sound, John's was a little more rustic. It had a plain wooden seat which would violently shake you up to 60 times a second. And for anyone who desires something a little more hardcore, you could add a slapping machine to the experience, which would give you the option of being flogged or pounded. If all this vibrating, pounding, and flogging is getting you all
this guy had some kind of a weird, like, it was a sex cult. The guy designed as a health clinic.
At Battle Creek Sanitarium was fornication.
Okay. So we wanted to shake him violently and slap him, but no fornication.
Believe.
No, that's only for him. Only he's allowed.
Into the chair that vibrates and flogs you, and enjoyed stuffing yogurt into people's bums. But believe it or not, he practiced what he preached. He was celibate during his 4 decades of marriage, and rather than spending his honeymoon between the sheets with his new bride, he used that time to write about the ills of copulation.
You know why this guy wasn't having sex with his wife? Because he was getting it off in the yogurt machine. He was.
Oh, maybe he was.
Yeah.
Didn't work. He would sew the patient's remaining foreskin.
Okay.
Oh.
Effective at stemming masturbation, it performed without anesthetic because it created a salutary effect upon the mind. In other words, it made the patient associate touching his penis with absolute pain. And if circumcision didn't work, he would sew the patient's remaining foreskin over the tip of the penis with a needle and then twist it to a close with a metal wire.
This guy was a freak.
Apparently made erections impossible. Bear in mind that most of his masturbation prevention subjects were young boys, and it reveals the sobering reality that the man who invented your breakfast cereal was one of America's most prolific child abusers.
Somebody should have taken this guy out. we didn't need cereal that bad, you know?
Finally, so he waited.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
It's called.
And he made like the most bland, driest cereal imaginable. Just cornflakes.
Cereal company led the pack in what became a multi-million-dollar industry. John, meanwhile, was forced to pay the costs of the legal battle. He faded into obscurity and lost much of his credibility. The number of visitors at the stand dropped dramatically during the Great Depression, and by 19...
Your child needs these 3 key factors to get into an Ivy League or top 25 university.
Man, what a weirdo.
The cereal category has always been quite affordable, and it tends to be a great destination when consumers are under pressure. So some of the things that we're doing is first messaging. We got to reach the consumer where they are. So we're advertising about cereal for dinner. If you think about the cost of cereal for a family versus what they would otherwise do, that's going to be much more affordable. The place that we like to go is we talk about making sure we have the right pack at the right price in the right place. So having a different size pack that'll have a different price point, that'll take some pressure off the consumer while they're shopping. So those are some of the things that we're doing. But
You might as well just start advertising yogurt enemas again.
that a lot of folks might
Wait.
because
What's that?
He might as well just start advertising yogurt enemas again.
Yeah, he should. He
Yeah.
should. Well, that's that woman in the gardens, like, probably great grandfather.
Man, imagine having a great grandfather like that. So bad. Oh.
of a bowl of cereal with milk and with fruit is less than $1. So you can imagine why a consumer under pressure might find that to be a good place to go.
Right. I'm all for innovation and marketing, but the idea of having cereal for dinner, is there the potential for that to land the wrong way?
We don't think so. In fact, it's landing really well right now, Carl. When we look at all of our data, of course we would know that breakfast cereal is the #1 choice for in-home consumption. We understand that for breakfast.
I'm curious, what does that graph behind him even mean? I love that the graph pops up.
This is the market price. So in the last month, there's been a spike in the stock price of Kellogg Company.
But how does that relate to, like, when we look at the data, it's like that's just your stock price going up. Like, I'm curious, like, how to...
It's not related to what he's talking about.
Just so dumb. I love they just start pulling up different charts regarding the stock price. And are like, yeah, when we look at the data, the stocks seem to go up recently. So we're assuming people are eating breakfast or eating cereal for dinner. Also, I doubt that a bowl of cereal with milk and fruit is $1. I
Yeah,
bet you
it
it's
can't be.
more.
They were saying a $9 for regular box. I mean, what can you get? Like 6 bowls out of that?
Yeah, not to mention the cost of fruit. I mean, you think about the strawberries or blueberries or whatever you're throwing on there. That costs money. Then milk. That's going to
Yeah,
be kind of
I mean-
expensive.
$5-6 for some milk. It's probably a very small portion.
And fruit's kind of pricey. I've noticed whenever I've gone to the store to buy some fruits or even bananas. Let's say you put half a banana on some cereal. That's like, at least 50 cents. Then you got to put the cereal in the bowl. And I doubt you'd do half a banana. I've never eaten half a banana and then saved it. So no, I'd probably just put the full banana on the cereal, pour some milk. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I can tell that that's a man who's never had cereal for dinner. Also, who puts like
Yeah.
fruit on Fruit Loops? Like, is anyone like being like, I gotta add some strawberries to my Fruit Loops? That's already sweet as hell. I'm not doing that.
Surprised they don't sell yogurt.
Oh, that would be so weird. Can you imagine? I wouldn't buy it. I'd think that they're doing weird stuff. If I saw that video, I'd be like, I don't know where this yogurt's been. Can you imagine if the Kellogg guy was like, well, you can't just let all this go to waste. We got to reuse the product.
Yeah. I will say that I think in the right case, doing enemas is a good idea.
I'm
for
sure
some of the
it fleshes you out, But yogurt?
Yeah,
And pumping that
well,
much-
I think I think there's the rate of the water going in there. I think is just something out of this world.
Yeah.
14 liters a minute.
Yeah. And
That's
yogurt, I just can't imagine why the yogurt. And then having him eat the yogurt at the same time.
There's probiotics in yogurt.
I don't know if that works the same way when it goes in.
It does. It does. There's like the majority of the microbiome is actually in the large intestine, which is very far away from where your mouth is.
But they're blasts. Why can't you just eat the yogurt?
Because the yogurt has to go through your stomach, through your duodenum, and it has to go through the small intestine. That's already like hundreds of feet worth of like tubes that it has to go through to get to the large intestine, where the majority of the probiotics are.
I could see it. There's got to be a reason why they don't do that anymore, though. You know, I've never heard of like a clinic that's like, we offer yogurt up the butt. You know, I've never heard that before. I've never heard that be in a practice or like where they're like, we got to do the yogurt up the butt. I've never heard somebody say that. There's got to be there must be better ways, you know?
I've heard of probiotic enemas before, so I mean, I get it.
But not yogurt, right? Like they have probably a solution, you know? Like they're probably
Yeah. It's not just like out of the jar.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this guy, he heard from somebody like that, like about something, and then he was like, oh, go to the store, buy some yogurt, Jim. We're putting it up people's butts. It's like, what do you mean, sir? I'm a doctor now. And he like walks around and he just never had any training.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
It's crazy. I wonder, like, when people went there, how did he tell them? Because I don't think I heard in that video anywhere that he was like a doctor or anything like that.
Yeah.
He's just a rich guy. So he opened up this place and he basically, trust me, I make millions of dollars every day.
It was a mental institution is what it was.
That's even worse. Can you imagine someone sent there and they don't want to go? And he's like, we flush him out with yogurt. And you hear this guy, like you're like in the chair, and you hear this guy walking around the room. We give him the salt enema. And it's like, oh, why? And it's like, well, and then we get the yogurt. Jim, go buy some vanilla from the store. Are you a doctor? No, I make millions a year. What? Now so is Dick Shut. It's like, oh my God, Jesus. This place sucks.
How did that guy not just get sued? And well, it sounds like he did, but how's his name still on the cereal?
I don't know. That's a good question.
That's pretty aggressive.
It is. That's extremely aggressive.
All right, dude, I gotta go get a haircut.
All right. It was a good episode. Or episode 30. Still 0 views, but hey, you know, maybe someone finds this through the the hashtags. Debate. That's just in case.
This is episode 30, right?
Yeah.
30.
30.
Yogurt enema.
Yogurt enemas. And debate. Just in case. I don't know if the YouTube algorithm picks it up. But yeah, this is definitely, we're instructing people how to take over the national convention. Well, I'll see you guys later.
See ya.